We're on Hardwire again for another match of Group A of the PiG Festival. In the top right hand corner is the man, the legend, the blue Zerg. It is Serral. Oops. His opponent in the red, here in the bottom left hand corner. The Protoss player, the young prodigy himself, it is MAXPAX from Storm Gaming, as you can clearly see from that one beautiful banner. So I've seen quite some matches between these two players in the past year. And not gonna lie, they've been more exciting than I was actually thinking. MAXPAX really on the rise as a player. Been quite well known to be kind of a mastermind of Protoss build orders. I mean, some really sick and weird ideas. But lately, he's kind of developing into a late game player. Really having a tactical edge over his opponents most of the times. Still not quite at the highest level, but he's definitely growing as a player very quickly. And results will sure come in time. See Serral forced to take a third. Always, really. There's no way you take your natural in this matchup anymore. It's just not happening. It's just too valuable for the Protoss player to just go and block it. It's really not an investment at all. There's really no reason not to do it. I'm always very surprised when Protoss players just don't try to block the natural of a Zerg player. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So yeah, good play from MAXPAX. Standard play on both sides. And we're kind of just in the waiting room for MAXPAX's first tech structure. He's probably going to be a Stargate, considering how he's playing lately and how this matchup has developed through time. So yeah, we see slight delay on Warp Tech and just getting the Stargate. No Clash Opener from Serral, just works a little bit better in ZVT. Isn't really the go-to for most players in these matchups, especially being forced out of your natural so often. I've been really off the book so far. MAXPAX just kind of checking for scouting Zerglings. Serral hiding this one a little bit in the corner with the positioning of these Stargate being in the main in that location. Like, this Zergling is almost certainly going to get some value. Or the Void Ray is going to be used to stop these Overlord from getting any more vision of what is going on MAXPAX side. Zergling speed almost finished. Useful tool to get even more scouting information. The Oracle, I'm very curious where it's going to be rallied, because this Zergling over here is kind of important. So Serral knows once he sees the Void Ray that it's definitely not going to be like some kind of weird Phoenix play or, I don't know, mass Void Ray. It's just an Oracle is much better, but having confirmation on that is very important. And this Zergling is there for a reason. Serral wants to make sure, and he's definitely going to see this. Void Ray over here, confirming the presence of scouting Zerglings. He's gonna make sure that... Oh, wait, what? Is this going to be Void Ray instead? Well, MAXPAX likes to go for +1 air weapons a lot. You've seen him go for air, like, really often. And we see a second Stargate as well. I would be very surprised if this was some kind of Phoenix play. But a Forge? I mean, the Forge kind of makes me think this is Phoenix play, but it might be Void Ray as well. Like, of course, MAXPAX is not like uber committed into air. He just doesn't go like, I want to go into carriers. I think. Such a hard player to read. It's going to be Void Rays. which makes sense with the fort behind this. It's kinda going to be starved on gas if you go for something else. The fort doesn't really make sense in any other scenario, and you want more tech if you want to go into carriers anyway. So it's not going to be that kind of rush. The third base also confirms that. The Oracle actually falls down to the Queens. This Void Ray is in a little bit of a pickle. Oh yeah, the high ground saves MAXPAX life. That would have been kind of a disaster, not gonna lie. But he's gonna keep the one Void Ray alive with 2 Adepts trying to get a little bit of scouting on the right side. The scouting Zergling will look for them moving out, and the rest of the squad will gang them up from behind and try to stop this shade, which are likely not going to finish. Both Adepts should be dead without any scouting information, and this doesn't really work that well for MAXPAX. His Void Rays are definitely not scouting tools. He needs them to deal damage to something at least, and not knowing where to go, it hurts. It hurts a lot, especially with this Spire play being completely uncontested on the side of Serral. Plus 1 melee. Carapace, Dire Constitution and Overlord Speed in the making, and that's a lot of Queens walking through the map. Flux Veins incoming for these Void Rays. They're gonna be fast boys very soon. There's going to be a first target starting to produce Void Rays at the moment. With possibly, yeah, +2 air weapons incoming shortly after. MAXPAX really committing at this time. This Forge didn't really do much, did it? And Serral will see the cybernetics core researching. We'll likely see the Void Rays very soon. Here it comes, the Changeling. The 2 Void Rays on the left side. I don't think this Ling over here saw that. Maybe the Overseer did. Is there any defenses over here? It's not really a defended position, but here on the right side, MAXPAX bringing the fight to the Queens. Transfuses, of course, are going to keep them alive, while 3 Void Rays are going to attack on the right. On the left, there's only 1 Queen over here, is most likely going to fall down. The rest of the Queens trying to catch up, but this is the Queen with the energy. The other 2 don't have any. Not a lot of Void Rays though. This poor Cora didn't stand a chance, did it? Oh, but this Void Ray is very bruised. Serral trying to commit on top of that. There's only 1 Queen with energy left here on the left side instead. There's 5 Queens, but none of them with energy for a transfuse. Serral going a little bit too willy-nilly with his transfuses, and he's gonna find himself a little bit short of energy on the Queens, but a lot of meters are about to pop out. 15 of them at a single moment, while MAXPAX is preparing the transition to ground. Probably going to be some kind of a Colossi, or maybe Disruptors, or maybe even High Templars with Storm to get some amount of AoE damage to counter the late game army that Serral is slowly building up into, with an Infestation beating coming. But these Void Rays are gonna find themselves flanked very shortly. There's one on the right, he's in a very bad spot, but he's gonna trade for so many Queens. This recall, I don't know about it. Where are the Mutas actually? Oh, they're about to move out. The Hive is in the making. Serral about to strike back, and MAXPAX doesn't really have much for defense against these bad boys over here. Yeah, the Adepts are definitely not gonna do much, as well as that 1 single cannon. Lots of cannons being dropped down by MAXPAX in different locations. There's not a lot of shield batteries, but the carriers come in clutch just at the right moment. Still, lots of probes are about to die. Flux Veins makes these Void Rays very fast, but they're still not as fast as the Mutas. A couple Mutas just flying into cannons. Not the best possible choice that Serral has made this game. But still, it's a beautiful trade from the Blue Zerg, getting a lot of probes, basically for no real cost at all. These Mutas are always going to pose a value tool for Serral in this game. They're always going to be good against Void Rays. And there's really no big threat on Serral's side of the map yet, with the carriers just being far away from critical mass, and a couple Void Rays actually trading to Mutas. This battle is a little bit too much commitment for Serral, who's going into Corruptors right now to counter the carriers. And still getting so many probes, actually. 11 probes. I think MAXPAX needs to use some chrono shifts on the Nexus. Because he's very starved of economy right now. He's not really collecting a lot of gas. He cannot support a free carrier's economy so easily if Serral keeps on getting this value with infestors incoming. These carriers, not really that much of a threat. So many queens on the ground as well. The corruptors ready to bring the fight to the air as well. The Void Rays still pose a big threat. The mutas will need to be used against those, since the corruptors just die way too quickly. But MAXPAX is a huge ground transition with this as well. Zealots with charge, as well as a couple immortal zealots, of course, gonna be used for run-bys. Oh my goodness, that's a death blow. Alright, the mutas trying to get a flank. Neural Parasite in the making, still a long way before it's done. This base is going to be sacked by Serral, who's gonna try to make his stand at the 4th over here. MAXPAX, does he want to commit? He's close to being maxed out, so that's a good moment to commit, but that's definitely not a good spot. So many queens out of here. Meanwhile, the mutas still bringing the trade. The High Templars morph into Archons and trying to make something happen against these mutas, but so many probes are dying. MAXPAX is very committed into this. His army is still kind of strong, but Neural Parasite is just halfway through. Oh, the mutas. A couple Void Rays and these Stalkers are finally going to end these mutas. Oh man, that's so much damage. And if MAXPAX didn't before, now he definitely needs to chrono boost some. Oh my god, the hive is going down. Ooh, the Neural Parasite. Not the Neural, sorry, the Fungal Growth. Another Fungal. Actually, the queens are marching forward. Another Fungal being dropped down. Infestors are going to be focused down, but here comes the Microbial Shroud. Actually doing some serious work for these queens. Oh, but these bad boys hurt like a truck. So many interceptors still alive. Serral losing all of his queens. And honestly, this doesn't look that good for the blue Zerg. His lonely infestor is not going to be enough. And there's another Spire in the making over here in the natural, since the main is in a very bad spot. A lot of carriers are in the making as well, but there's still so many interceptors alive. Serral trying to get something done on the other side of the map with his ground army. The mutas did trade for a lot of MAXPAX economy. So if Serral survives, this is still going to be huge. The Corruptors, of course, forcing out the recall on the side of MAXPAX, as well as this ground army being able to sneak past the defenses of the red Protoss player. Couple Lings also burrowing down, trying to maybe deal some more damage later. But MAXPAX right now on 52 probes. They're losing quite a lot this game, actually. Yeah, that's 59 dead probes. It's a lot. But Serral lost his hive. He doesn't really need to make it again. He's not really using Vipers. And his stack has already been dropped down. He's gonna drop down an Infestation Pit though. Did he lose this one? Ooh, wow. That's a big slowdown on the attack on the side of MAXPAX. Very well played from the Protoss player. Placing a big obstacle between Serral and his late game army. Infestors not being able to produce infestors. It's of course a big hit. The ground army is definitely not gonna stand a chance against these many Lings, but the air army still doesn't have too much of a counter with the Corruptors being far away. Finally the Corruptors coming, there's no recall available, but the Void Ray is so high in number, gonna activate the Prismatic Ray alignment, and they're gonna just annihilate these Corruptors. Again, a very good play from MAXPAX, but it's just not getting enough, not with the starving out in economy he has right now. Serral also working and not such a great economy himself. And both players kind of are in a little bit of a bad spot. With these low econ late game armies, it becomes very difficult to trade properly. That's why Serral needs his spellcasters. Oh, this Warp Prism is very juicy for the Corruptors, which are going to ignore it. No, they are not. Good catch by Serral. That's 650 worth of minerals in a spot in which MAXPAX cannot really afford to lose that many minerals for free. And run-bys starting to look very important on both sides, since both players really cannot lose workers at this stage of the game, which is something peculiar, since if there's one spot in the game in which you can lose workers, it's late game. You're gonna have so many that losing even 20 doesn't hurt as much as losing, for example, like 5 in the early game. That's how the game works. So, energy upgrade for the infestor. I always forget how it's called. With these big run by blocking again MAXPAX from taking a 5th base, but I don't think a lot of Lings are going to survive. There's a lot of cannons over here. These Lings are badly bruised from the AoE damage of the Archons, but Serral forced MAXPAX behind in his base long enough to get a hive again, start producing these infestors again, with of course the energy upgrade kicking in shortly for the future infestors as well. Even Kaiden is blading for the Ultras. That's peculiar. Serral again trying to stop this base from happening. He has adrenal glands. His Lings hurt very fast. Even just plus... Oh, it's +2 actually. +2 adrenal glands. It's a lot of DPS. Thought it was just +1. And there's one Ling bird over here. Forcing MAXPAX to actually make a cannon for detection. But MAXPAX army is super scary right now, and I don't think there's enough corruptors. The infestors need to do a lot of work. A couple infestors just popping out, dropping down the fungal and the microbial shroud. These carriers are in a bad spot. They don't hurt as much. And now more carriers are incoming. Microbial shroud is still doing work over here. That's a clever use of that spell. With Vipers incoming finally as well. Fungal growth plus, of course, parasitic bomb. It's a deadly combo. These corruptors not really in the best of spots. Infestors need to drop down their yoink material. Fungal growth and microbial shroud still doing a lot of work. Now the Ultras bring the battle to the Archons. It's Legacy of the Void cinematic all over again with so many beautiful, beautiful Neuroparasite on top of the most scary units of this army, which are the Void Rays, stopping the Corruptors from coming in and killing the carriers. Not anymore, says Serral. And this engagement potentially won him the fight, even losing these 19 workers, placing his economy so behind. It's not like MAXPAX has this huge economy himself, and his units take a lot more time to make. Not having Void Rays to defend the carriers also pretty huge, with Serral being able to save most of his Corruptors, even making Broodlords. I'm not sure about that. I think he should have waited a little bit more with this low eco scenario. Doesn't have a lot of minerals, he still has plenty of gas to produce the Vipers he needs, and it's all about this spellcaster's control, as you've seen in the previous fight. Fungal, Microbial Shroud and Neuroparasite, all 3 of the spells of these infestors were used at the right moment, in the right spot. And there's a reason why Serral has made a name for himself for late game armies, especially in this matchup. We all remember the one beautiful game against Stats in BlizzCon Finals on Parasite. We all know how it ended. So speed for the Ultras to bring even more oomph to his run-bys. But Serral, I think he wants to push with his whole might. Doesn't want to stand back and go for run-bys anymore. Raptors and Vipers are eager to get the trades, yoinking those carriers and kill them with the Corruptors. As you can see, Serral moving out with the clutch factors of his army. What the? Oh, changelings. Alright. Yoink! Mine! Another yoink is available, and it's... Oh, that's an item ready to fit back. Serral decides against risking his own Viper. What is this Corruptor doing over here? Meanwhile, a very brave Probe trying to do his very best. This is not enough. Now it's Broodlord's time. And I don't see MAXPAX have enough of his ground army to contest them. High Templars are gonna be done very quickly. And that's where the Vipers and the Infestors can get really a lot of damage for free. Another very big Zealot over here instead. Gonna bring the battle to these Lings, but yeah, yoink! And oh, the feedback goes on the Viper with less energy of the three. So all in all, not too bad for Serral. Not gonna lose a Viper. But Storm is in the making, and the infamous. Where is it? Where is it? The minus 400, minus 400. Here it is. Guys, if the mothership does something in this game, I'm gonna fire myself. Yeah, I said it. I said it. I'll never cast again. The mothership is very useful. Useless. I meant useless. Not useful. Not useful at all. Not in this scenario. It's a little bit more useful earlier on. Oh, the Disruptor just couldn't do enough over here. MAXPAX getting a base which is kind of big. The Disruption Nova just barely whiffs. Oh, and now the Fungal Growth on top of that one Disruptor is definitely not running away. And now the Vipers are looking to get another yoink. The mothership almost done. Ready to be yoinked itself. Or maybe even neural parasited. Or mind controlled. Well, mind control is just a Dark Archon spell. Let's not call that dark mind control, right? Not in this game, at least. Now the Broodlords pushing forward. These are very important bases for MAXPAX. The one with gas still in them. Now MAXPAX just waiting for the mothership. Hiding behind these Nexus, which is definitely going to fall to the Broodlords. Or actually not, the Carriers actually do have a lot of DPS. Meanwhile on the left side, there's an Overseer with his army. So these Ultras just are going ham on it. Not really caring too much. So many probes actually dying. And now it's time for the mothership to go down. And guys, my job is safe. I do not have to fire myself. I repeat, I do not have to fire myself. The mothership did absolutely nothing. Couple Corruptors will die to this. As Serral, the rest of the army is ready to come in as well. It's a very peculiar spot. Even with so much army, Serral can lose this engagement in a heartbeat. Let's see if MAXPAX is able to clutch it. Feedback on the same Viper. Sure, he's not going to make it. A Fungal Growth and another feedback. The Viper can get in and get those Abducts on top of this army. Another beautiful feedback actually on the side of MAXPAX, but there's still so many spellcasters on the side of Serral. And the Broodlords are just killing one Archon after one Archon. Here comes the commitment of the Corruptors. Not as many Void Rays as MAXPAX needed. The Queens are so full of energy. These Broodlords are simply not dying. And so are the Corruptors. Now the Infestors are trying to get close enough to drop those Neural Parasites. But they're not close enough. Now the Corruptors actually committing as well as the Neural Parasite. And this is a wrap, everybody. The army of MAXPAX crumbles down. Serral takes game number 1. Game 2 time. Here in the bottom right hand corner of Blackburn, currently at match point, it's the blue Zer player makes a noise for Serral. His opponent in the red. Can he win it 2 times in a row? That's a tall task. Let's see if he clutches it out with his late game strategies. It is MAXPAX from Storm Gaming, and of course Serral from Ants Esports. Oh, so curious, right? We never see this one. Serral taking his word, just casually. So Blackburn was one of those maps everybody hated. And you know what? I hated it too. I hated to cast on this map. I really thought it was lame, and it was just whoever gets control of this side of the map just kind of wins. But then people started to do some crazy strategies, some weird stuff, especially with the golden base involved, and it suddenly became so interesting to see how the games develop, especially with the middle side being so open and full of possibilities. And now I'm absolutely in love with this map. So, can't wait to see what those two players are going to show us. I doubt this is going to be something else than Stargate. I still think Stargate is just by far the best choice. There's really no way you can go for something else on Blackburn unless you want to go super aggro, which is not MAXPAX playstyle, not anymore at least. Used to be a thing of the past. You'll remember the MAXPAX, right? The proxy 1 gateway, the double gateway into Nexus and cybernetic core, or into cybernetic core and Nexus opener, just to kill the Terrans command center in the early game. That build was just genius material before everybody figured it out. But it's thanks to that build that this player was able to reach the higher Grandmaster levels and develop this much as a player. If it weren't for that, we probably would have never had these kind of matches. It's a really beautiful thing. Serral keeping a link over here to check if MAXPAX decides to get the golden base. Looks like it's not going to happen. MAXPAX really trying to get as many minerals as possible. I want to actually check where he is. Okay, he's on the pillar. But yeah, the pillar is empty. So is this one. Serral keeping his overload over here to check for maybe an oracle timing or something to the likes of it, which is definitely better as a choice altogether. Not really having to commit into the wall so much with a link trying to scout for the golden base. And yeah, I mean, he sees the probe on the third. He should know MAXPAX is taking that one base. He's still gonna send another link through to double check. But they don't make players with as much game sense as Serral nowadays, so he's definitely going to know. Meanwhile, the oracle timing was correct. Serral was right to try to catch it over there. But you only needed the queen's positioning, as you can see, so the overload will stay hidden for the time being. Another Stargate with +1 air, so MAXPAX going for the same kind of build again. Now this oracle again is gonna be a little bit unlucky flying into 2 queens, not even able to drop down a revelation. The voidway over here actually getting an overload, which is going to supply block Serral. Interesting. The oracle, oh, come on buddy, you can do it. No, you can't. Oh well. Not really much to do. The void ray did quite enough. With Serral actually trying to get even more scouting. He's going to see this research. Oh yes he is. Yes he is. He's also going to snipe the adept. No, he can't get this around. Trying to get some transferring probes. Gets a couple. Gets 3 actually. Will he get 4? No, he can't get 4. But his commitment was very low. Now the void ray is forced back home. The oracle's still there. Not really able to get much. The void ray is also looking for an opening in the defenses of Serral, or maybe even snap down a couple of overloads again. But Serral did make 1 billion overloads, right? And now he's killing his own crypt tumor to get this base over here. Stasis board being placed down to stop this base from mining too quickly at least. Serral is going to catch it with 1 Zergling. So What do we have here? MAXPAX really producing a lot of Void Rays at a time. Serral kind of knows this is happening again. Not a Stargate, going to be the third one as well as a Fleet Beacon. MAXPAX just doing a copy-paste of his first game build. And now we have an infestation bit very quickly on the side of Serral. That's like as quick as you can get an infestation bit. So he's gonna try to rush into an even more late game state with a hive incoming at 6:35. That's an early hive, everybody. And Infestors is the call. He wants that neural parasite, I guess. Evo Chambers being dropped down as well for ranged weapons? Is this going to be some kind of lurkers strat? I don't think so. Why will he drop down a Spire? Why is he getting ranged? For queens, of course, but... yeah, alright, it makes sense, it makes sense. Don't listen to me, guys. It makes sense. He's not gonna need, like, melee as much as he needs Adrenal Glands. Adrenal Glands is a much bigger upgrade in DPS for the lanes, so he's gonna be fine with that. And these queens are definitely going to get a lot from them +1 air attack with these 100 million and a half range. They got the Void Rays chasing a couple queens down. Transfuses, of course, are gonna keep them alive. So just producing a lot of queens at a time. The hive is gonna slow down the queen production a little bit. Not getting a transfuse on top of that queen. Gonna lose one. It's not really a big expense. Again, gonna lose a queen with a lot of energy on it as well, actually. And he's just keeping the queens to protect the golden base. And now what the... that's a lot of Vipers, guys. That's a lot of Vipers. It's more than 4. It's less than 6. Yeah, but that's a lot of Vipers. 5 being produced at a time, as well as a great Aspire. Serral just rushing a lot of tech, very heavy on spellcasters, with both a lot of Vipers and Infestors, and of course queens with it. And the strat definitely looks like it is Parasitic Bomb into Fungal Growth, since Serral is not really committing into Infestors upgrades. The Greater Spire is also going to help with the ground effort, with these many queens able to defend the Broodlords. Now the recall gets issued by MAXPAX to keep his Void Rays alive, but of course the transition into carries is already happening, with the Overseer actually sniping down these tech advance on the side of MAXPAX. Templar Archives and double Robo. Gonna be a lot of AoE damage in this army, but Broodlords are exactly the counter to that. Serral with the 200 IQ brain is going to counter his opponent before he gets that transition. I don't really think he has enough for air. He has enough to stall with these many queens for a lifetime, especially with +1. But it's not going to be so easy to actually end the game. So he's just gonna stall for a long time, it feels like, with a second Spire incoming as well to get those double upgrades. A bit of a Baneling trap over here, but +1 melee is just in the making, just a long time before it's done. Does he have speed for this? Oh my goodness. Waddle waddle, little Banelings. You're not gonna be fast boys for a long time. Second Spire almost finished. And why are these structures so bruised? Oh, the Vipers. Oh, I'm stupid. Oh, wait. These Banelings actually got some value. That's kind of sick. Burrow is not done yet, so this poor little Baneling is gonna die over here alone. And Serral, I doubt he's going to go for my Banelings. He doesn't have speed. It's not gonna make much use from this. But of course, he's just gonna get a lot of heals actually on these structures placed down by MAXPAX. Doesn't manage to get the cancel on the Nexus, which was the most important thing. Oh my goodness, another Mothership. MAXPAX, learn from your mistakes, big man. Double upgrades for air weapons, a lot of Corruptors, and now there's 5 Vipers to just instantly kill the one Mothership core. Serral can yoink that Mothership from a mile away if he decides to do that. Even Spine Crawlers on the ground to defend this base over here from Rambais, which is the most vulnerable one. Of course, with these two bases over here defended by Spore Crawlers, and just a lot of units by Serral being placed in that position. Of course, MAXPAX is trying to slow down the creep advance here in the middle of the map, so that Serral cannot get any funny ideas flanking with queens. But the upgrade war, MAXPAX is winning that battle, but there's just so much tech being dropped down by Serral, and there's just so many different things he can go for. And with these many Vipers, oh, the Oracle doesn't hit his Revelation. There's still a lot of feedbacks available from MAXPAX, so Serral needs to be careful with his Vipers. But it's not like this base is that easy to defend. Dropping on a Stasis Ward as well, not really the best spot. There's really not a way Serral can get past that. And both players just kind of stalling each other out. With Z +3 for air, no real shield or defense upgrade. But these units are just gonna crumble to the Corruptors, which also have a very good upgrade. All the Storms as well as the Purification Nova doesn't kind of hit the Queens though. And MAXPAX loses two very important units, basically for free. And now even sending out his army to clear the Spore Crawlers. The bullets are a little bit too exposed. The Transfuses is gonna keep these old bullets alive forever. It just didn't die. A Storm is gonna hit the Corruptors in a very weak spot. Another Disruptor is going to go down. And now, yeah, I think it's yoing time. The feedbacks are just not there. One of the carriers gets yoinked and killed by the Corruptors. While on the ground is one lowly Immortal is kind of trying to kite back the Broodlings, and Serral takes a very good trade. Both players, huge bank. Both have so much gas, both have so many minerals. So unless it's just a giant engagement, none of the two players are going to lose too much. For now, at very least. Darkshine is of course a great tech to try and snap down some key structures, or even kill a lot of drones. But the only base that's really vulnerable is this one, and it's not really the most important of the bases, and it's not really even that vulnerable. There's a lot of Spore Crawlers down over here, so Dark Templars are just not gonna do much. Archons, on the other hand, are going to be important, and Dark Templars is one way to get them without investing too much gas. Alright guys, will the Mothership do anything? What do you think? You know what I think. The feedback's going on top of a couple Infestors and Queens. They stopped Serral from getting too much value out of that energy. But right now, that's basically all that MAXPAX can do. He cannot really find a way to push in. And Serral is just gaining the critical mass. Getting his critical upgrades as well. Adrenal Glands and +3 melee, that is scary stuff. With Kindness Plating behind this, Lings and Ultras Rambais are going to be so scary. The Mothership will complete the mass recall. The Mothership actually did something. It recalled all of these units in a very best spot though. When the army of Serral was ready to get over there, the bullets are not close enough. These beautiful Fungals are not getting Serral the value he wanted to get. He's still going to get two High Templars. The one last Broodling barely killing the High Templar. 5 drones are going to fall, but all in all, Serral wins this trade. And he's getting so much tech as well. Meanwhile, the Rambai, I don't know where it's happening. It was over here. Like 8 probes have died so quickly. Without even +3 melee. It's kind of nice on the side of Serral. Alright, the Lings clearing the rocks in the middle to allow the Broodlings to chase even more effortlessly on the army of MAXPAX. And of course, opening the map just makes these Rambais on the side of the Blue Zerg a little bit easier. Another Mothership in the making, and I just don't like it. That play was, like, it was interesting. he just made a play in a place that was just too well defended. Yeah, MAXPAX knows this location over here is super defended. Like, oh, the Warp Prism just barely survives. Like, there's still so many queens getting over here. The Warp Prism dies, and now it's Spine Crawlers against Zealots. Meanwhile, in the middle, Flight Race bringing the battle to Spore Crawlers also isn't the best of choices. So many carriers falling down. MAXPAX has a huge bank, but that's not a good reason to trade stuff for free, especially since he's kind of losing a little bit too many workers. Serral just using them all for Spore Crawlers and Spine Crawlers. But as long as he's collecting gas, he's happy with this. His army is much stronger at this stage. He's very confident in his control of these spellcasters, and he's killing so many probes. I can't even manage to find where he's killing them. Oh, here comes a Void Ray, free to be eaten by the Corruptors. And +3/+3 for... oh, finally MAXPAX doing something over here. John's gonna burrow down to be safe from the Zealots. Meanwhile, these very scary Lings are gonna bring the fight to the Zealots and win it. And now, bringing some supplies for the Ultras. Meanwhile, MAXPAX just getting all of them upgrades. The Bullets trying to get something done themselves. With MAXPAX desperately trying to get this base in the top, in the middle. Not really managing. Serral has one overload to check if MAXPAX decides to get the southern base in the middle, which is still blocked by rocks, so MAXPAX not really having any funny ideas himself. These two armies are starting to get huge though. Like, carriers replacing all of the lost army from MAXPAX. It's just a lot of interceptors right now. The Queens with Microbial Shroud, they're so tanky. So tanky. This one Brewlord being transfused 1,000,000 times, and Serral just didn't lose anything. MAXPAX moving forward with more interceptors in the making. There's still a lot of Spore Crawlers over here. The spellcasters of Serral though, where are they? Where are the Corruptors? Oh my, the Microbial Shroud is doing work for these Queens. They're staying alive. But yeah, the rest of the army of Serral was just so slow to move in. Microbial Shroud still is going to win Serral the battle, but a lot of energy was used by these Queens. Still, a lot of interceptors died as well, but MAXPAX has a very good bank, and now the main is exposed. The hive is going to go down. No more Vipers for Serral, who has a lot, so she'll be fine. Still has the 5 he made before. Now the Ultra Coven goes down as well. Another Ultra Coven is already in the making, as well as a lair. Meanwhile, a lot of ground army is being used to deflect these Zealot run-by in the main base. Serral went completely unscouted. Brewlords are gonna get a couple Immortals out, which are just really not doing much. Oh, that's a bad spot for these Eye Templars. They're not gonna get fungled again. The Brewlords cannot close the deal. Serral replacing a lot of his lost army again. MAXPAX might have more minerals, but not for long, with Serral having a clear advantage in the gas bank instead. Again, forcing a cancel in the top side. 9 probes going down on the Brewlords. Getting some value, actually getting a Nexus. This could be absolutely huge for Serral. Blink Stalkers on the top side, they're not in time. The Queens will easily defend from this flank, and now the Nexus goes down, as well as a lot of probes. The Infestors are going to be fit back to Red Elf, but the Queens are there to transfuse. Finally, one Queen falls. Oh, wait a second. So many transfuses. And now the Fungal getting on top of the Blink Stalkers as well. Not allowing them to blink backwards. Serral might have read a little bit too far ahead of himself. Microbial Shroud is gonna keep a lot of these units alive, but the feedback's going on top of every single Infestors. No Neural today for you, Serral. MAXPAX bringing the fight to the middle. Parasitic Bomb, Fungal Growth. The AoE is insane on the side of Serral, but these Corruptors are just not going down as well. Look at them go, the carriers. They're just too bruised to bring the fight to the Corruptors. Finally, a lot of Blink Stalkers but they're going to be eaten by an Ultra. Both players losing a lot of their own army. That was a confusing fight. But in the end, Serral, huge advantage on the bank. And he also kept like a lot of his army alive. MAXPAX is going to go for another run by, and another lair is very exposed. The rest of the army of Serral is out of position. The Ultra Cavern goes down, and so will a lot of very important tech structure. And Serral doesn't react immediately, but the Banelings are there for defense, and oh my god, they do pack a punch, don't they? Serral, another fungal on the Bling Stalkers. Ooh. They barely stay alive, actually committing on top of the Vipers. They're not gonna make it. MAXPAX, half the supply of his opponent. And now, it's about time that Serral decided to move out and close the deal. Because his advantage is insane. He doesn't want to play too fast, but MAXPAX just doesn't have enough. That trade from before was really difficult to recover from. There's still so many Corruptors and Vipers on the air. The AoE damage of Fungal plus Parasitic Bomb is just too much for MAXPAX to micro against. That's a lot of Archons, but there's still a lot of Bullets in the air. And the upgrades, yeah, it's +3 everything basically right now for Serral. So these Broodlings, they're going to deal a lot of damage. Both on impact and on their continuous damage. It's 5 Tempests at a time production from MAXPAX. But Tempests are not really that scary with this much of an air control on the side of Serral. These Corruptors are just gonna absolutely melt, and the Fungal growth on top of the Void Rays. More Fungals are going to be used, and then maybe it's time for the Vipers to get a couple of adapts on the carriers. Corruptors getting on the carriers, and again MAXPAX basically reset. It's gonna tap out. GG gets called. Serral wins the series.